Hello and welcome to my video demonstration of this weather website that I created. This was projects for sprints 10 through 15 of the 10 boot camp. This was front and back end design, then combining it onto an external server that could be accessed through a URL. So let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see, it asks for a location. If it is not given a location, it will automatically default to Washington, D.C. So we'll just say, I'm going to go ahead and just allow it because it shows mine, why not? So you can see there's cards that already exist. The like button's not there, but when you click on the card, you can see a preview. And then when I go to log in, let's say I just type in random, it's gonna say at least incorrect password, but you can see there's that it's unauthorized. So we'll go ahead. I will do the sign up, and let's say I'm using an email that already exists, which I already put this onto the server. It's going to say the email's already been taken, so please use a different one, and then it casually removes that notification. So we'll go back to login and just act like we're logging in with that account. There's other validation that goes along with that too that helps out, saying you need the password to be at least 2 characters long, etc. So now we can see that the like button does appear. Obviously with the darker images, it's not as visual, but um, for the first project of this sort that we've completed, it works for this intent and purpose. So it's going to show that I pre-cycled that, and that's interesting as well. We can go ahead and look at the items that I've already added by clicking on the icon. It brings us to our profile page. We can change which image we want. I can actually save it without the image. It's going to update, and it uses the first number or letter in the name. Of course, if I change that, let's go to something that starts with a G, it'll update from there. And if we copy the URL back, put it into the field, boom, that updates there. So I can actually, unlike like those, if I want, let's go back, I click on the WTWR, it's going, did I, anyway, I can actually delete the item. If I don't have authorization to delete the item, then it's not going to pop up with the delete item. And I can log out, log into a different account. Let's go with this one because I think that one, it doesn't have, but again, I can add a new one. We'll say hot. And today it's actually cold, so as you can see, it says weather cold. Those are the only items that are going to show. And if I add, let's say, a warm item, it's not going to show. So it's kind of cool that way. And again, this, I don't think I showed this, but it does toggle showing Celsius and Fahrenheit. But yeah, the main goal, of course, of this was to add clothing items. This just demonstrates the ability to add images in general and to identify the type of clothing that it's supposed to be. If we go to the code, let's check out the back end. We're learning about properly classifying the errors, and based on the type of error, it will give a certain message back. we're taught about schemas. If I can get this to pop. Pardon me a second. As you can see, certain standards have to match, which in this case, minimum length. Is the URL valid? Did we select hot, warm, or cold? That sort of thing. Same with the users. Find user by credentials, certain function with the email and password. It's going to do a comparison. Kind of interesting this is here. I'm not sure why that was put there, but you can see asking for a name, avatar, email, password. Kind of interesting that way. So this is the back end. There was also certain tests with lint that had to be passed before this could be accepted. There was also tests with GitHub that had to be passed before it could get accepted. So there was a decent amount of scrutiny with the back end. Let's go to the front end. I was looking at the fonts because for some reason it was coming up with an error with the fonts, but I couldn't see any issue with it. This is a custom use form and validation hook that was utilized when adding cards or editing the information or registering an account, those sort of actions. As you can see, I have them all pretty well broke apart as to the type of functionality. In this case, like we have the sidebar, edit profile modal, delete modal, etc. So pretty well tried to keep that organized. A lot of the focus on how these functions should work emphasize placing the functionality within app.jsx and then passing each of these functions down through the different routes and sections. So that way it's there was a lot that need to be referenced by multiple sections, including the card click, card like, which modal was open. There was general, if you click close, you got to be able to access that, select which one's open, etc. So it just helps if it's all within app.jsx. And if we look at the API functionality, this is where it calls our backend with the base URL. If you see, like, it'll call on the environment variable, which is hidden from access externally, and there's a secret key that gets associated with that to keep the security. If it's not reading production from the environmental, then it will automatically assume from the local host, which back in the back end there was a CORS filter. Normally, if you're testing it locally, you have to kind of remove that. So this is just part of the added security of hosting on an external server. And these are the different calls, including a general response check, adding items, deleting items, etc. And that's kind of it for the demonstration.